How to Raise Your Own Salary by Napoleon Hill. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button. Napoleon Hill is just, he's an enigma. The man writes about success and persistence and motivation and intangible forces and faith and masterminds and sex transmutation and salesmanship and persistence and success. And he writes about a lot of things, and he seems to write about them like no one ever in the history of the world ever. His work is at a strangely high energy level. And I know what some of you might be thinking right now.
Is this gonna be another nut-hugging review where this kid just nut-hugs the book and talks about how amazing it is?
Don't get me wrong. His second, I think, book, Think and Grow Rich, is easily my favorite book ever. It completely transformed the direction of what I even want to do with my life. But the more I look at Hill's work, the more I kind of glance at it and I'm like, is it me or is this just starting to look like the same 2 or 3 books of information just published 6 or 7 give or take times? Honestly, I don't have all that much to say about this book. That's because there's not all that much that you could really get out of it that you can't get out of other books of his that I've reviewed on his channel, that and Think and Grow Rich. I haven't reviewed Think and Grow Rich because I have so much to say about that book. I'm not sure where I would even start. That book like totally changed how I think about so many different things. To me, it probably wouldn't be like just reviewing a book. It would be like reviewing a part of yourself. You know what I mean? Eventually, I'll have to review it after reviewing this one because, I mean, if you replace the title Think and Grow Rich of that book with How to Raise Your Own Salary, the book's contents in context would still kind of make sense. But at the same time, and I say this as a long-time Napoleon Hill fan, Napoleon Hill is the type of writer to take a word like salary and turn it into a full-on lecture about the universal habit force of Mother Nature. In this book, it is said that Napoleon Hill gives out all 17 principles of success, just as they were taught to him by smashing that like button in case you haven't already for the YouTube algorithm. It helps with ranking and all this other stuff, and I really appreciate it because
So much work really goes into making these videos.
that, as well as Andrew Carnegie and other successful people who shared with him their time and experience. Didn't he do this exact same thing in The Law of Success? Napoleon Hill was like the first official knowledge reporter of our country. Think and Grow Rich sold what, over like 120 million copies. Did any book sell that many copies other than, I don't know, Harry Potter or like the Bible or something? Listening to the same book 100,000 different times, written in 100,000 different ways, can be like taking apart a Rubik's Cube and mixing it up and putting it back together and solving it in a way you didn't before. It's like, and I can't say this from experience, I always sucked with Rubik's Cubes, but I imagine it would be like this. It's like you have a slightly more divergent understanding of how exactly one could get from A to Z. Please do not think I'm complaining. I would just rather not pay for the same information more than once. I mean, there is a degree where it's just different enough for me to bring up in the book review, hey, you might want to watch out for this. Meanwhile, not different enough for me to rip my hair out, especially 2 months into a stay-at-home order in Pennsylvania. However, I don't really think this book hit that degree. It didn't. There was a little, but it didn't really like get me all that far. There wasn't exactly enough novelty for me to really suck out that like juice. Not like Outwitting the Devil, for example. Outwitting the Devil is like a total standout of Napoleon Hill books. Maybe I haven't checked out enough Napoleon Hill books. I've only checked out 4 now. Outwitting the Devil talks about a lot of stuff that's wrong with people and the world. This dude is a solution-oriented monster. And the whole book, the entire book, is an interview with the devil. The audiobook is very, very well orchestrated. This book made me want to check out the Andrew Carnegie bio more than by what's his name, David Nasaw, more than any more of Hill's work. This was the first book of Napoleon Hill that I'm reviewing now that I was just thinking like, okay, why didn't I just decide to finally review Think and Grow Rich with all the time that I spent on this? The audiobook for How to Raise Your Own Salary, it poses itself as a stunningly well-conducted interview by the author with Andrew Carnegie, based around how to get ahead in life. It does explain very thoroughly, in fact, to an almost excruciating degree of detail why some do get ahead and some don't. There's much talk of exactly why America's free enterprise system is as powerful as it is or was. Granted, this was published, what, like 60 years ago or something? I heard more about speaking and like public and personal, like private, and listening as well. Haven't heard that much about that in his previous work. I heard about the sex and romance sort of transmutation in marriage, and same with time and money budgeting. But there's a ton of money budgeting in Law of Success. The most valuable thing in this book to me was probably how deep Andrew Carnegie went into all the different traits and characteristics of a pleasing personality, the different causes of failure. I had no idea that there were so many of those two things. So there really wasn't all that much in this book, in my opinion, overall, that you can't get out of Think and Grow Rich or The Law of Success. And what was unimpressive to me about this book was specifically that. I think the book is worth it just because Napoleon Hill wrote it, and this dude's work is like a wealth mine. He does have other books you could check out instead that contain the true beef of his work's nature. Or soy, or tofu, if you're not a carnivore and that's your thing. Quotes. The very best method of distributing wealth is by distributing the principles of achievement by which wealth is procured. People who think they are deceiving others are only deceiving themselves. Man's control over his own mind relates only to his conscious mind. Make yourself indispensable in your job and see how quickly you are pushed out of it into a better one. Words are often used not to convey one's thoughts, but to conceal them. The man who says it can be done is usually in the way of the man who is doing it. Direction 1, and I guess direction 2. I don't really recommend this book for anyone who has checked out Think and Grow Rich and or The Law of Success. If you haven't checked out either of those books, I would check out Think and Grow Rich and then The Law of Success when you really are like, either I don't understand this, I think I want more information, or you're like, I understand this and I still want more information. How to Raise Your Own Salary by Napoleon Hill. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also hit me up on Instagram. There's a link in the description for my profile. Or let me know in the comments if you checked out this book and you liked. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch all the way to this point in my reviews and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.